Hello everyone, I'm Laurel Capobianco with Michigan Asian Pacific American Affairs Commission, and I want to welcome you to the Flavors of Asia, a virtual cooking celebration brought to you by AARP Michigan in honor of Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Today, we're turning up the heat and diving into the vibrant world of Asian cuisine, featuring none other than the amazing chef Jihye Kim of Miss Kim Korean Restaurant in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Chef Kim is taking us on a delicious journey, sharing her mouth-watering take on a Korean barbecue dish you'll definitely want to try at home. This program is pre-recorded, but don't let that stop you from getting involved. We'll be dropping the recipe and some fun foodie facts in the chat throughout the video, so feel free to share your own kitchen tips, flavor experiments, and questions. We know this crowd has some serious cooking chops. If you registered already, you'll get a link to the show sent straight to your inbox, so you can watch it again. You can also catch it anytime on our AARP Michigan YouTube page. So grab your aprons, sharpen your knives, and get ready to celebrate Asian heritage through the joy of cooking. And now, it's my pleasure to bring you the Flavors of Asia with the one and only Chef Jihye Kim, right from her kitchen in Michigan. Let's get cooking.
Welcome to AARP Michigan's Taste of Asian American and Pacific Islander Month. I'm Shenlin Chen. I serve on the Executive Council of AARP and also the Association of Chinese Americans. It is my pleasure to introduce our guest today, Chef Jihye Kim.
I'm so happy to be here.
Nice. I know that you have a restaurant in Ann Arbor. So Chef Kim, would you like to introduce your restaurant?
Yeah. My name is Jihye Kim. I have a restaurant called Miss Kim in Ann Arbor, Michigan. We do Korean food that's inspired by both my Korean ancestors and Michigan farmers. And I think I need to note that we are part of Zingerman's community of businesses.
Okay, so it is my understanding that we're going to see how you prepare Korean barbecue and everything that goes with it.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite recipes to use for dinner parties, summer grilling parties. It's also easy, so it's one that I like to evangelize Korean food with.
Wow. Okay. So actually, what's on the menu?
Oh,
what are the items?
Yeah. So we're gonna learn to cook 3 things, and I think with those 3 things plus rice, because rice is essential, you'll be able to throw a really proper Korean barbecue party. So okay, we're gonna learn to make a marinade. I have beef here today, but you can actually use it for chicken or any other meat or even tofu. And then we are gonna make a ssamjang, which is a dipping sauce. And then we'll make a quick little sweet and spicy salad to go with everything.
That's nice. It sounds so exciting.
Oh, thank you.
Should we get started?
Yeah, let's get started. Let's first make the marinade so it gives the meat the most time to sort of hang out in the good sauces. This is a sort of a New York strip. But some of the steaks that you can use, any steak that's about a half an inch thin. So that's what I like to call a Wonder Bread slice thickness. Any steak that size would work really well. I've used with ribeye, New York strip, sometimes chuck steak. One of my favorite is hanger steak. All those will work really well, even though the most traditional cut is the sort of short ribs cut on a bias and a thin across the bone. I think if you go to a butcher, you can ask for flanken style short ribs. If they don't have flank style short ribs, I would just go with any steak. Just make sure it's not this thick, because the marinade is not gonna work into the meat in time. So I have a New York strip. This is already a very tender steak, so you won't have to do too much. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to score it. So like sort of like put knife marks in there and then make little gaps in there. So marinade will go into it a little better. You can sort of see the lines going this way. So what I'm going to do is cut it against the grain perpendicular, just kind of like give it a little jab, 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 jab. And then I'm going to flip it on the other side. Same thing. Against the grain, 90 degrees against the grain perpendicular. And then jab, 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 jab. You want to try it?
Okay.
Okay, step in.
Am I doing it right?
Yeah, you want to go a little deeper?
Okay.
Yeah. Don't be afraid. Because the worst thing that's going to happen if you go too deep is you're going to have two pieces. And that's not a big deal. Okay. Excellent. Very nice. All right. Nice job. That's it.
Thank you.
Okay. So, Korean barbecue seems like it's like a kind of daunting, but it is, in fact, dump, marinade, and grill recipe. So it's really easy. You're just working with different pantry items than you may be used to. So I'm going to go over some pantry items that we have here. For this recipe, we're going to use soy sauce. I really recommend you use either Korean or Japanese soy sauce, because if you do Chinese soy sauce, then you get like a dark soy sauce, light soy sauce, and it may get confusing. And then my experience, my experience is that, if you're making Korean food, use Korean soy sauce. If you're making Chinese food, use Chinese soy sauce. If you're making Japanese food, use Japanese soy sauce. Like easy, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because like Chinese sauce, soy sauce, some are for color, some are for taste.
Exactly. Some are thicker and have a little sweetness. Some are lighter and like it's more salty.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. So we have some soy sauce, black pepper, sesame seeds, sugar. I have granulated white sugar, but you can use brown sugar or palm sugar or any kind of sugar. And we have pear juice, minced garlic, scallions, minced ginger, and honey. Okay? All right, so let's get ready. I think I'm going to have you make the marinade.
Oh, nice.
Okay,
Let me do it. Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to call it out. Okay. We need 3 tablespoonfuls of soy sauce right in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
3 tablespoons.
3 tablespoonfuls. And let's do a tablespoon and a half of sugar.
Sugar.
Let's do 2 tablespoonfuls of scallions. And let's do a tablespoonful of garlic.
I like garlic.
I do too. Okay, let's do a tablespoonful of ginger. Okay, let's do a tablespoonful of sesame seeds.
Are these raw or cooked?
These are toasted.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's do 2 tablespoons of pear juice. So here I use pear juice because traditionally pear is the fruit that goes in here. And it's a good pairing with beef. And I also had a really old pear sitting in the fridge. So I just pureed it and used it because I hate waste. But you can buy pear juice. You can also use apple juice. And sometimes I like to just throw in chunks of pineapple instead of juicing it, so that pineapples are in there and then juice of it will just seep out if you don't even want to bother with the juice. Or you can skip it.
Well, thank you for the substitution tips. They're wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm at home and cooking, I really don't want to leave whatever I'm doing and then go to the grocery store for one thing.
Right.
So, okay, I think we still need to give a sesame oil. So here's my sesame oil. Okay, let's do 1.5 tablespoons.
I like sesame oil.
I can see, because somehow mysteriously the ingredients you like are a little heavier on the spoon. Okay, I think the last thing we want is honey. Is it 1 tablespoonful of honey? Okay, so you have everything in here. And then I'm going to crack some black pepper in there. Okay, so I want to call out the 3 different kinds of sweeteners that we use for this marinade. We have honey, we have sugar, and then we have also pear juice, right? What it does is it's giving you depth and complexity that you wouldn't get otherwise if you had only used one type of sugar. Okay? All right, so now everything's in there. You just mix it. What you're going for is a well-incorporated sauce. And if you like, as I do this, I can kind of feel the granular sugar on the bottom. So you just kind of stir it until you don't feel that granular sugar anymore. We have the scored meat, we put it in there. Make sure it's covered on both sides. And you want to give it a good massage to work the marinade into the meat. Yeah. So you're going to try it?
So this one,
yeah,
I'm going to turn.
Yeah, and then just give it a good massage. Yeah. And then I think what you want to use is less your fingers, more your palm, because fingers are pointy and you don't want to dig into the meat. So you want to sort of like, squeeze and release, squeeze and release. Yeah.
Okay.
Great. I think a little massage is excellent. Okay, I think we're good. Okay. I think what I'm going to do is let this sit here and then let it hang out for a little bit and then let it marinate. So I'm going to let it hang out there. One thing that I want to say about this recipe is that it is really designed for meat that's about like a half an inch thick. So if you're using thinner meat, you want to add a little water because otherwise it's going to be too salty. You can marinate it up to 30 minutes. No, up to like a couple hours is okay. But what you don't want to do is do it overnight. Okay. If you want to marinate it overnight, then I would put same amount of water as the soy sauce. So it's like a little less salty so that you can like marinate ahead of time and then have it grilled. Otherwise, it's going to be too like heavy on soy sauce flavor and then you're going to miss all the complexities. So while that's marinating, and that's like the most difficult dish that we're gonna do. Next, we're gonna make ssamjang. These are the little, if you ever gone to a Korean barbecue restaurant, you get all these condiments, and one of the condiments is like a dipping sauce. It's kind of brownish dipping sauce that comes on the side. So we're gonna make that.
Okay.
Part of the reason why I wanted to do this dinner, besides the fact that it's really delicious and easy, is because it highlights 3 mother sauces of Korea. And these are 3 fermented pantry staples that you should have that sort of elevates and kind of solves all the Korean food recipe issues. So that's fermented soybean sauce, that's soy sauce, fermented soybean paste, that's doenjang, and then fermented chili paste, and that's gochujang. Okay. So if you have these 3, and if you have these 3 from like artisanal makers, you are gonna impress any dinner guest, including very difficult to please Korean relatives. If you have any Korean relatives, or Korean friends,
people can find them at Korean grocery stores.
Yeah, so you can easily find these at Korean grocery stores. I do recommend if you wanna like. I recommend using commercial ones for like 1 tub and see how you like it. And if it's something, this is a recipe that you find yourself keep going back to, I think it is worth investing into a higher level product. All right, so ready?
Yep.
Okay, let's do loose ingredients first. So let's do 2 teaspoons, not tablespoons, of sugar, half tablespoonful of scallions. Let's do half garlic. Okay, 1 teaspoonful of sesame seeds. Let's do half tablespoonful of sesame oil. Okay, now we're gonna do doenjang and gochujang. So we'll go gochujang first.
This is not spicy, right?
This is actually kind of spicy.
Okay.
This is about
medium.
Yeah, you know, gochujang is made with like enough of fruit extracts and rice flour that it has enough sweetness. It has a good sweet and spicy balance. Okay, and if you find yourself feeling like it's too spicy, you can always do less. Okay, and then doenjang, but you shouldn't skip it because it's really the combination of the 2 sauces that makes this
make the layers.
Yeah.
Taste.
Okay, so let's do tablespoonful of doenjang and go ahead and like sort of like mix until it comes to a consistent, even texture. Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're not looking for smooth because ingredients that are in here are chunky. So unless you really like abuse it, you're not gonna see smooth. So what you're looking for is like nicely incorporated 1 color, so there's no streaks of brown or red, but like 1 color. Okay.
Yep.
And I know this doesn't look like we made a lot, and you're more than welcome to obviously make more and then keep it in the fridge, but this is like a pungent, like it packs salt, it packs lots of flavor, so you're only going to use like tiny bit of it a bite. So I think this is good. So we're going to set that aside, and then we're going to make some salad. Okay, so I think the recipe that you see, I added asparagus because I think in May it's asparagus season and I think it'd be fun to add. But I want you to understand that this is a very flexible recipe. You have the dressing and you have some lettuce, and then you can throw in whatever vegetables that you have in the house. So today I have a couple of different kind of lettuce, and then I also like kind of bitter flavor. So I have radicchio. Okay. And I peeled and washed like a bigger whole leaves, and then we're gonna use this for lettuce wrap later.
Okay.
And I'm gonna use the core for the salad.
Okay. Is this the kiki salad?
Kiki salad?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I used that word to describe the salad. The salad definitely has a kiki character because it's like a little sweet, little spicy, little sassy.
Okay.
Okay. This kiki and sassy salad is actually a take on something called kachori. And kachori is a type of kimchi. It's like a quick kimchi. So my mom would make kimchi like at the end of October, and then she'll make a lot of them, and then we'll like live on that all through the winter.
Wow.
But once, like we make a lot. Yeah. But once the winter's over and the sun's shining, and then like the different vegetables come out, then she starts making this like more quick turnaround kimchis.
Did she really bury the jar in the ground? I saw some pictures.
Yes, I have stories for you.
Whoa.
Yeah. Because my mom would make like a whole bunch of kimchi, and then we lived in like an old house where we had enough space to bury, and like we had yard. But then after my second grade, we moved to an apartment building, and there's nothing that like there's not enough property to
nowhere we
bury stuff, a pot of stuff into the ground, but she did. Yeah, and I was the lookout. Okay, so it's not this kind of kimchi though. It's not a kind of kimchi you have to bury into the ground. This is a kind of kimchi that has like similar characteristics, and then you sort of like toss it and eat it. So let's make the salad dressing. Ready?
Okay. Yes.
1.5, 1 1/3, or 1.5 tablespoons of soy sauce.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is really a salad dressing recipe I really play with. This is like versatile. So you can keep all the ingredients and you can use more or less of stuff. I would just be careful when you're using more soy sauce because that tends to up the sodium level. But you can do a little more sugar. You can do way less chili flakes if it's too spicy for you. The one that I always go for more is I always go for more sesame oil when I personally make it. But I'm just giving you standard recipe to start with. Okay. Yep. All right, let's do a tablespoonful of sugar. You know, the recipe says 1.5 tablespoonful of Korean chili flakes, but this, I forgot my chili flakes. So we're substituting it with a little bit of paprika and cayenne pepper. Okay. So cayenne pepper is spicier. So we're just going to do 1 tablespoon. I would say Korean chili flakes is a good chili flakes to have as your go-to chili flakes because it doesn't have smoke. And it's not super spicy. It's a medium spicy with a hint of sweetness that actually lends itself to many different recipes, not just Korean recipes. So, okay, let's do 1/2 tablespoonful of sesame seeds. And then let's do a tablespoon of vinegar. Yeah. So you can use rice vinegar, but I like sherry vinegar because that's what I have in my pantry this morning. And I was out of rice vinegar, so sherry vinegar goes really well. Apple cider vinegar or Korean apple vinegar also works really well. The only vinegar that I would sort of like avoid for this application is wine vinegars. Red wine vinegar doesn't tend to do well with Korean food. And then I also avoid balsamic vinegar because balsamic vinegar is thick and sweet and very expensive. All right, so let's do a teaspoonful of sesame oil. Okay. So that's all we have. You're gonna mix it in for me. Sure. So just like stir. And you can tell that this is not a sort of a French dressing where like it's creamy and emulsified. It does not have a lot of oil enough to be emulsifying, but it will have a lot of flavors for you. That looks very good. Okay, so let's chop some veggies and then put it in the salad. So this is a lettuce core. So
break in half?
Yeah, break in half. You can just throw it in there. Here we're using little gem salad. You can use romaine yeah, just break it apart. This is like, we don't have to be so rigid about it. Yeah.
So do you cook every day at home?
No.
No, not anymore.
No. I mean, like, I cook so much that when I come home, I just want the simplest food.
Okay.
Yeah.
But every day you need to go to your restaurant.
Every day I go to the restaurant. Yeah. And even if I'm not cooking for 8 hours, I make sure that I look at everything, I taste everything, I train people. I'm going to throw some radicchio in here for like a good bitterness.
Okay.
Yeah.
And color.
And color. Yeah, exactly. A lot of what we cook has like today has enough sweetness to it that I think a hit of bitter from radicchio would be nice. I don't cook that much anymore at home. So this is like truly the recipes that I cook when I'm like having people over.
Okay.
Or like if I'm going to potluck, I think this is a fun potluck item to bring. Okay, so we got like a good amount of that. And then the rest is sort of like free for all. And I use this salad to like clean out my fridge sometimes. Yeah. So here is for example, here's a half of a pear that's left over from the dressing that we made. No, the marinade that we made. I'm gonna just chop some in there. Yeah, let's chop some in there. Yeah, there's some scallions left over. Let's not let that go to waste. In the recipe I said asparagus, you can always throw some shaved asparagus. I found like a bell pepper in my fridge, so I'm gonna throw some bell peppers in there. When I show recipes, I want people to actually like use it. I don't want it to be so difficult, so that's why I like to share a lot of substitutions. And okay, so here, but there are two tricks that I do when I use salads. Is I like to add something a little sweet, so I threw in some fruit in there.
Okay.
You can also do sliced apples or segmented oranges. You can also do dried cherries if you don't feel like peeling anything. And then I sometimes have leftover nuts, so I'm gonna throw some nuts in there too. Yeah, you don't have to. You can always leave it out. Now, you just wanna drizzle some.
So when you have many people use this dish, they would just do their own saucing, or you still do it the same way? You mix them all.
I would mix it up for them.
Get a share.
Yeah, I would mix them up for them, especially because this is a sort of like a spicy dressing, and I'm using lettuce that are pretty hearty. And if I were to do this at home, actually, I would just use my hand to sort of like make sure that it's evenly coated, and then I would just serve it like in with big bowl, like family style.
Okay.
Yeah, it's too much to be like doing like individually plated salad. Yeah. And it is also Korean culture to be having like things family style and share across the table. Okay, I know you like sesame oil, so you want to drizzle a little more in here?
I can do it.
Perfect. Sesame seeds, a little bit goes a long way, so you don't want to go too much. Let me taste it. I'm gonna give you a taste. Hang on. I'm gonna make you a good bite. Any allergies?
No.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Oh, you wrapped it.
Yeah,
You wrapped the red pepper.
No, I wanted
life.
like every bite in there, so every ingredient in there. Good? Yeah. All right, so you have this recipe that is healthy and delicious and very versatile. Okay. We have the dip ready. The meat's been marinating. We have the salad ready. We have the wrap ready.
Yes.
Okay, now we're ready to cook.
All right.
Okay.
Let's go.
Yeah, I want to tell you that my mom used to cook this particular Korean barbecue. So the recipe that I shared is a type of Korean barbecue that's called nobiani. And nobiani gets the name from the fact that the meat is like a slightly thicker than usual Korean barbecue, and it's like flat. And nobi is kind of like flat and wide. Yeah, and that's why the recipe is a little stronger to accommodate for like a half-inch thickness steak. Yeah, and this is something that she used to cook on special holidays. So we would have Korean barbecue when we go out. I think any celebration, Korean like beef Korean barbecue is like a good thing to choose. But my mom specifically made this dish for Korean holiday in the fall that's called Chuseok. And Chuseok is a celebration of like a harvest moon.
Oh,
Yeah.
so the mid-autumn. Yeah, same as the Chinese.
Exactly. So it's mid-autumn festival, and she'll cook this and then bring it to picnics, because one of the holiday activity was to go to the grave sites of our ancestors and tidy everything up, because we had our great-grandfathers and great-grandmothers like buried in the mountain, not in like a cemetery. Yeah, so it was on a mountainside, so we'll go tidy everything up, and then we'll open like boxes and boxes of lunch boxes, and then this will be my favorite.
Oh.
Yeah. We say Korean barbecue because the most often it's done on an open fire, especially coal or pintochan. However, it's not the same as Southern barbecue, where smoke is one of the main ingredients of Southern barbecue. So it's a barbecue in a very loose sense of the way that it's using open fire. Okay, so tips on grilling. Well, not grilling. Tips on sautéing, because we have first have a nice steel pan. So this is a French steel pan, like nice and heavy, and cast iron pan would also work well.
Okay.
You want to have it dry, so I don't have any oil down.
Okay. No oil.
You can kind of see smoke come out when you see the first smoke. Yeah. When you see the first smoke, then you want to add oil.
Any oil will do, right?
You want to do a neutral oil. Yeah. And then roll it around. So here I'm using like a sort of mild olive oil, but you can use canola oil, olive oil, corn oil, safflower oil, any cooking oil. It's good. Okay.
I like the sound. Make it so exciting.
I know.
Make me hungry.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. Because if the meat heats the pan and it does not make that sound, the pan is not hot enough. Okay. And then here's another hot tip. When you put it down, shake it up a little bit, and that prevents it from burning up.
Oh.
Like sticking to the bottle. So hot pan, oil in.
Smells so good.
Thank you. And then put the meat down. A little movement so it doesn't stick, and then you just let it go. Let it go, let it go, let it go, and you flip once, and then you let it go. Yeah.
So about how long for each side?
Couple minutes on each side.
Couple minutes?
Yeah. I personally kind of like it when it's like medium rare to medium. Yeah. And you don't want to cook this meat until it's well done. Mostly because the meat's going to be a little on the tougher side, but it's more so that the marinade is going to start burning. So you don't want like burnt steak.
No.
If you try to cook it like all the way to well done. Okay. But I like it when like inside,
medium.
Yeah,
medium rare.
I like it when inside is a little pink and outside has some char. Yeah.
That's what I like too. So how long have you been in the restaurant business, Chef Ken?
Restaurant's been open 9 years. And then I did food cart for 4 years. And then I like traveled and learned from different kitchens. So 15? No, like 16, 17 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I believe it's a long journey, but you get a lot, right, from it, out of it.
Yeah. I mean, like I like cooking because like, well, it's instant gratification. You cook and you eat it. It's so great. There's no other form of labor or artwork. It's that fast. You grill it, 3 minutes later, it's ready, right? But I also cook because it's a way to connect me back to my community and culture. You know,
So were you actually born here?
Turn this off. Yeah.
Were you born here?
No, I came to United States when I was 13. And I came to New Jersey and then moved to Michigan to go to University of Michigan. So I can say that I've been in Michigan longer than anywhere else.
Okay.
Yeah. And when I was putting together menus for the restaurant, I really thought about like what makes my experience, right? So then like I have to draw from what my ancestors did. And also like if you're gonna make any changes to like great recipes that families really appreciate, then you better understand, you better have done your work in understanding where it came from,
Right.
instead of jumping in and like just changing things around just because you feel like it. You have to understand the narrative of the dish and the story
Exactly.
of the food and then of the people and how it changed. And you have to make very thoughtful, conscious choices, right? Yeah. And then when I came to University of Michigan and I settled in Ann Arbor, you know, my mom is like the best cook in the family, and she wouldn't even give me the title now, and I'm the one with the restaurant. Yeah. She's the best cook in the family. She made everything from scratch, kimchi, gochujang, everything. I missed it. I have taken it for granted, the way that teenagers take moms for granted. Yeah, I've taken really good homemade Korean food for granted. Yeah, and when I didn't have access to it anymore, I missed it so much that I started just like making some, so I can have some. And that's how I sort of like got into cooking, because my mom didn't want to teach me. She like when I did ask her once to teach me how to cook. And she was like, you have the misfortune of being born a girl. You're going to end up in the kitchen once you get married and have children. And you don't have to learn it now. You're a child. So she didn't really teach me how to cook. You have a whole life to cook later. Yeah, you have a whole life to cook. Yeah, you're going to end up in the kitchen. I ended up in the kitchen in a different way than she imagined. But so I sort of needed to figure it out on my own. But growing up with a mother who did everything from scratch really develops your palate and appreciation for good food. And any good homemade food. Like when I had Italian homemade food, that felt different. When I had Chinese homemade food, that felt different than a restaurant food. So I cannot really translate that 100% to the restaurant, but I really try to remember that when I put things on the menu. So she's your inspiration. She is definitely one of my inspirations. Yeah. Okay. Nice. You ready? Okay. So, yep. I think this is ready. So we do the same. We turn off the heat and then we let it sit. Yeah, I just turn off the heat and let it sit a little bit. Okay. This is a marinated steak. Right. So I made sure like it's seared, and then I flipped, and then I just like let it hang. Okay. And then I'm gonna slice it. So you just use the cut that we did it before. You definitely can. Yeah, because remember we cut it against the grain. So then if you just follow the lines that you score, then that will be fine. And I like to pre-slice it because I use chopsticks. And chopsticks don't slice as well as steak. But you can also just serve it this way as a steak per person. Wow, that's nice. Yeah. Now, this is the most important lesson that I am going to show you. How to use chopsticks? No, you know I'm an expert. I know you are. But I'm going to show you, like, this is the only thing that I am going to insist that you do. Everything else is up for grabs. You can play with it. You can make your adjustments. But this one, you have to stick to my way. Okay? Okay. Because if you don't stick to my way, you're going to give yourself away as an amateur Korean barbecue. Okay. Okay? Okay. I have to learn this. So I'll show you. So you want to grab it's basically how to eat Korean barbecue. So you want to grab a lettuce, and sometimes I like to double up, and just for the taste. Yeah, I like to double up sometimes. And doesn't matter which color goes top, or I would do the like a sturdier, wider leaf on the bottom. Okay, and then that, and then you can make your filling. So I like to add my filling. I'm gonna do double. Yeah, and then you want to do a little dip. Okay, and then you can even add a little salad, a little salad. I'm gonna add some peppers. Basically, you make your own adventure. So that's not the part that I'm saying that you rigidly need to follow. So make your bite. Okay, I'm going to do this piece. It looks tender and juicy, and some sauce. And then you can do that or not, because we already have lettuce here. Okay, I'll do a red pepper. Great. Okay, what you really need to pay attention to is you have to sort of like fold it onto itself into like a nice bite-sized morsel. Which doesn't matter which side goes first. It doesn't matter. What's important is it's like wrapped up, so you can hold it in one hand.
And put everything in mouth at once.
At once. That's it. That's it. You cannot bite in half. You cannot bite in half. You have to put everything into your mouth, because if you bite it in half, it's going to fall out of your mouth, onto your hand, onto your plate, onto the tables. It's going to be embarrassing for you and everybody else involved. Okay, so ready?
I regret I picked the large one, you know,
I know, I saw you pick like 2 pieces of meat and I didn't say anything. Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3.
Okay. I'm embarrassing myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a bad sample.
Mm-hmm. That's okay. You're serving as a lesson.
But they taste
What to do?
great.
What not to do. Tastes good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what do you taste?
Sweetness, bitterness, and a little bit of the sauce.
Mm-hmm. And I
And
know you like
texture-wise-
garlic, so
Yeah, texture-wise, it's more of them. My mom said, don't talk when you have food in your mouth, but
if you're eating
The
Korean
beef.
barbecue, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Or you can always wash down with beer,
Crispy.
soda, or wine.
crispy on the outside, you know,
Mhm.
from the lettuce, and then tender from meat.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm. If you have a child or grandchild or a husband who's not into eating vegetables, this is an excellent way to
Made it.
include some vegetables
Mm-hmm.
into their diet, because it's just delicious together.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think that's all I have. You feel like you can do this at home?
So actually, yeah, I have 3 bites to finish. I have to do 3 bites to finish this.
Don't draw attention to it. Okay, good. All right, nice job. Nice job.
Wow. So thank you, Chef Ping. This is wonderful. And thank you for the recipes and sharing your tradition, your great stories.
Thank you. This was so much fun. Do you
Yeah.
do this more? Like, are there more events with AARP?
Oh yeah, this is just one of the hundreds of free events that AARP were going to do this year. And then if people need more information, there's a website that we put in the chat, so check it out. And then we thank you so much, and then
Cheers.
happy cooking.
Happy cooking. Thank you.